Welcome back to the Circular Economy Excellent podcast. I'm Henrik Hvide Jensen, and today we are wrapping up our deep dive into the Sustainable Manufacturing Intelligence Framework, or SMIF as I call it, and this is with chapter 17. Here we summarize the digital capabilities manufacturers need to become circular, digital and clean by 2030. As always, I used AI to analyze and interpret this chapter, creating a discussion between two artificial minds to help break down its key insights for you. This is a short but important chapter, bringing together everything we covered in the previous chapters on SMIF, how manufacturers must integrate circularity and digitization to thrive in the future. Throughout this journey, we have explored that internal IT systems are the digital backbone of circular business models, that digital ecosystems enable seamless collaboration across supply chains. We must have connected products that is using IoT and real-time monitoring to extend product life. Customer touchpoints create continuous engagement beyond the first sale, and data-driven circularity where AI and analytics unlock new business value. We also talked about digitized compliance that is ensuring regulatory requirements become a competitive advantage. This chapter ties it all together, reinforcing that digital transformation is not separate from circularity, it's the enabler that makes it work. So let's dive into this AI-powered conversation and reflect on the key lessons from our SMIF journey.
All right, so today we're diving deep into a really interesting chapter 17 of Henrik Hvide Jensen's book called Circular Economy Opportunities and Pathways for Manufacturers.
Yeah.
Now, you've probably heard about this whole circular economy thing, right? It's kind of a buzzword these days.
It is, yeah.
Less waste, more reuse, kind of the whole shebang, right? But what really kind of blew my mind in this chapter is how much this whole idea of digitalization is tied into making a circular economy actually work.
Yeah, it's interesting is that we often think of circular economy as this like very physical process, like recycling, remanufacturing, that kind of thing. But what Jensen does really well in this chapter is that he makes a case for how digital technologies are really the key to unlocking the full potential of a circular economy, especially for manufacturers.
Okay, so we're not just talking about, swapping out cardboard boxes for reusable totes or something.
Yeah.
This is like high-tech stuff.
Think of it this way. Manufacturers are facing this massive challenge right now of transitioning from our current model, the linear take-make-waste model, to this circular one. And to do that effectively, they need to completely overhaul their systems and their processes.
Yeah.
And that's where digitalization comes in.
Okay, so then where does this Sustainable Manufacturing Intelligence Framework, the SMIF, as the cool kids call it, fit into all of this?
Yeah, well, SMIF is essentially Jensen's proposed solution to that problem.
Okay.
It's a framework that's designed to guide manufacturers on how to strategically integrate digital technologies into their operations to support a circular economy. So it's like a roadmap with 4 key dimensions to it. You've got technology, organization, ecosystem, and then value creation.
Okay.
And each of these dimensions has specific elements that businesses need to address.
Okay. Break that down for me a bit.
Sure.
What kind of elements are we talking about?
So, for example, under the technology dimension, manufacturers need to consider things like data analytics, IoT, and AI. These technologies can help them do things like optimize their resource use, track products throughout their entire life cycles, and even predict future demand.
Wow.
On the organization side of things, it's more about fostering a culture of collaboration within the business.
Okay.
So breaking down those silos that often exist between different departments and empowering employees to really embrace circularity.
I'm starting to see a theme here. It sounds like it's not just about buying a fancy new software.
No.
It's about a whole shift in mindset.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. And that shift needs to extend beyond just the walls of the company itself. That's where the ecosystem dimension comes in. Jensen makes the argument that manufacturers can't really achieve circularity in isolation.
Right.
They need to be building partnerships with suppliers, with recyclers, logistics providers, even consumers.
That makes sense. I mean, we've all seen those "please recycle responsibly" messages on packaging and things like that.
Right.
But it sounds like Jensen's envisioning something a lot more integrated than that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He talks about creating digital platforms where companies can share information about materials, about product life cycles, even consumer usage patterns. So imagine a system where a manufacturer can instantly identify a potential buyer for their waste materials.
Oh.
Or they can collaborate with a recycling company to design products that are easier to disassemble and reuse.
So instead of just kind of hoping that someone picks up their scrap metal,
Right.
they're actively like connecting with other businesses to keep those resources in circulation.
Exactly, yeah. It's about creating this web of interconnectedness.
Okay.
This circular ecosystem where waste from one company becomes a valuable resource for another company. And this is where the fourth dimension, value creation, really comes into play.
All right. I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this value creation piece.
This is where things get really interesting. Jensen argues that embracing digitalization within a circular economy framework, it isn't just good for the environment, it can also drive significant business value.
Oh, okay.
By optimizing resource use, reducing waste, and creating more durable and repairable products.
Right.
Manufacturers can lower their costs, they can improve their efficiency, and they can even tap into new revenue streams.
So it's not just a feel-good sustainability initiative. It can actually boost the bottom line.
Precisely. And it can also lead to better decision-making, enhanced customer experiences, and even increased brand loyalty. Consumers are becoming increasingly aware of environmental issues these days.
For sure.
And are more likely to support companies that are demonstrably committed to sustainability.
So it makes good business sense.
Yeah.
But all this sounds incredibly complex. How do manufacturers even wrap their heads around all these different elements of the SMIF?
Right.
And figure out where to even start?
That's a great question, and it's one that Jensen addresses head on in the chapter. He stresses the importance of data in this whole process.
Okay, data. I feel like I'm hearing that word everywhere I go these days.
I know, right?
What makes it so crucial for achieving a circular economy?
It's like gold. In a circular economy, data is absolutely key.
Okay.
It helps manufacturers understand where resources are being used, where waste is being generated, how products are flowing through the whole system.
Okay.
By collecting and analyzing this data, manufacturers can identify opportunities for improvement. They can optimize their processes, make more informed decisions overall.
So it's like having real-time X-ray vision into their entire operation to see exactly where the inefficiencies are, where they can close the loop.
Exactly. And it's not just about internal data either. Remember those partnerships we were talking about before? By sharing data with their partners, manufacturers can gain even greater insights and collaborate more effectively. Like, imagine a recycling company sharing data on the types and quantities of materials they're receiving, which can then inform the design of new products that are easier to recycle down the line.
Wow, that's pretty mind-blowing.
It is, yeah.
But I also have to wonder about the practicalities of all this data sharing.
Sure.
Are companies really willing to be that transparent with each other?
Right.
Especially when it comes to things like waste generation.
That's a valid concern, and it's something that Jensen acknowledges in the chapter.
Okay.
He argues that building trust and establishing clear data governance protocols are essential for successful collaboration in a circular economy.
Okay.
He also points to the potential of blockchain technology to enhance transparency and security when it comes to data sharing.
Okay. Blockchain. Now that's a whole other thing.
I know.
That's the thing with the cryptocurrency, right?
Right.
I'll admit, it's a bit of a mystery to me.
I think it is for a lot of people.
How does that fit into all this?
So think of blockchain as this like digital ledger that's incredibly secure and transparent. It allows multiple parties to share and track data without the need for a central authority.
Right.
So in the context of the circular economy, this could really revolutionize how we manage product life cycles.
Okay.
Imagine a product with a digital passport, like stored on a blockchain, that tracks its journey from raw materials to end of life.
Oh, wow.
So consumers could scan a product with their phone, see its entire history, verify its authenticity, its ethical sourcing, environmental impact, everything.
Wow. That would be a game changer.
It would.
It would give so much power to the consumer.
Exactly.
No more greenwashing, no more vague sustainability claims.
Right.
You'd have the whole story right there.
Right in your hand.
Right in your hand.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And for manufacturers, that level of transparency can build trust with consumers. It can reduce counterfeiting. It can even enable new business models like product as a service, where customers pay for the use of a product rather than owning it outright.
Interesting.
Which incentivizes manufacturers to design more durable, more repairable products.
Right.
Keep them in circulation as long as possible.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. The SMIF framework, the digital technologies, the partnerships, the data sharing, the blockchain. It's like a whole new economic paradigm is emerging.
It really is.
Right in front of us.
Yeah, and what's exciting is that this isn't just a theoretical concept.
Right.
There are companies out there already putting these principles into practice.
Oh, really? Do you have any examples?
Absolutely. One company that's been highlighted for their circular economy initiatives is Philips.
Okay.
They've embraced the circular lighting model, where they retain ownership of the lighting products and provide them as a service to customers.
So instead of selling light bulbs that burn out after a few months, they're leasing lighting systems that are designed to last for years.
Exactly, yep.
That's brilliant.
And it encourages them to design energy-efficient and long-lasting products that can be easily refurbished and reused.
Okay, so what about other industries?
Sure.
Are there examples of manufacturers embracing circularity in, say, the fashion industry?
Yeah.
Which is notorious for its waste and environmental impact.
There are some promising initiatives emerging in the fashion world as well.
Okay.
For example, Patagonia, the clothing brand, they've been a pioneer in sustainable practices for years.
Right.
They encourage their customers to repair their clothes rather than discard them.
Okay.
They offer repair guides and even like a lifetime guarantee on some of their products.
Wow.
They've also launched a platform called Wornwear,
Okay.
where customers can buy and sell used Patagonia gear, keeping those clothes in circulation longer.
That's a great example of how a company can actively engage consumers in the circular economy. It's not just about making sustainable products.
Right.
It's about fostering a culture of reuse and repair.
You're absolutely right. And digital technologies can play a key role in facilitating this shift. In consumer behavior. Imagine an app that helps you find local repair shops. Provides tutorials on how to fix common problems. Connects you with other people who are interested in swapping or selling used clothes.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It would.
It feels like we're just scratching the surface
of
what's possible when you combine digital innovation with circular economy principles.
I agree.
But all this talk about data and technology also raises some questions for me.
Sure.
About privacy and security. How do we ensure that all this data is being used responsibly and ethically?
That's a crucial point, and it's something we need to be mindful of as we embrace these new technologies.
Yeah.
Jensen addresses this in the chapter as well, emphasizing the need for transparency, data governance, and ethical considerations in the design and implementation of these digital solutions for the circular economy.
So it's not just about blindly adopting new technology.
No.
It's about doing so in a way that aligns with our values and protects individual rights.
Exactly. And that requires a collaborative effort from businesses, policymakers, and consumers alike. We need to be having these conversations now to ensure that the transition to a circular economy is not only sustainable from an environmental perspective, but also from a social and ethical standpoint.
This has been an incredibly insightful discussion. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of what the circular economy truly entails. And the transformative potential of digitalization in making it a reality. But before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, I want to bring us back down to the practicalities for a moment.
Sure.
We've talked about the SMIF framework and all these different elements that manufacturers need to consider. But where do they actually start? What are some concrete steps that they can take to embark on this circular transformation journey?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It can feel really overwhelming. But Jensen does offer some practical guidance in the chapter. He suggests starting with a really comprehensive assessment of your current operations. So, where are your biggest areas of waste generation? What are your existing data collection and analysis capabilities?
Right.
What kind of partnerships do you already have in place?
So it's kind of like taking inventory before you go grocery shopping.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to know what you've got before you can figure out what you need.
Precisely. Once you have that clear understanding of your current state,
Okay.
you can start identifying specific areas where digital technologies can really help you optimize processes, reduce waste, and create value.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's implementing sensors to monitor your energy consumption in real time,
Okay.
or using AI to predict maintenance needs and prevent those equipment breakdowns, or even developing a digital platform to connect with potential buyers for your waste materials.
So it sounds like there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Yeah.
Each company kind of has to find their own path
Exactly.
based on their specific needs and opportunities.
That's right. The SMIF framework provides that roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
But the journey itself is going to be unique for each manufacturer.
Right.
And it's not just about technology either.
Okay.
We talked about those other dimensions: organization, ecosystem, and value creation.
Right.
Companies need to cultivate that culture of collaboration, build those strong partnerships,
Uh-huh.
and really focus on creating value for all stakeholders, not just shareholders.
So it really is about a fundamental shift in mindset,
It is.
not just a technological upgrade.
Absolutely. And that shift requires leadership,
Okay.
vision, and commitment from the top down.
Right.
Leaders need to be able to articulate a clear purpose
Mm-hmm.
for this circular transformation, inspire their teams,
Yeah.
and allocate the necessary resources to actually make it happen.
Yeah. It's like any major organizational change.
Yes.
You need everyone rowing in the same direction to get to that destination.
Yeah, for sure.
But I also have to wonder about the role of consumers in all of this.
Sure.
We've talked about how manufacturers can embrace circularity.
Right.
But what about that demand side of the equation? Can consumers really make a difference?
They absolutely can. Consumer demand is a powerful driver of change.
Okay.
As more and more people become aware of the environmental and social costs
Mm-hmm.
of our current linear economy,
Right?
they're starting to demand more sustainable and ethical products and services.
So it's about voting with our wallets.
Yeah.
Supporting companies that are doing things the right way.
Uh-huh.
Maybe even being willing to pay a little bit more for products that are designed to last,
Right.
be easily repaired or recycled.
Exactly. And it's also about changing our consumption habits.
Okay.
Do we really need to buy a new phone every year?
Right.
Can we repair our clothes instead of throwing them away? Are we willing to consider buying secondhand or leasing products instead of owning them outright?
Those are some thought-provoking questions.
They are.
It seems like embracing a circular economy requires a shift in mindset,
It does.
not just for manufacturers, but for all of us as consumers.
That's right. It's about moving away from that culture of disposability
Right.
and embracing a more mindful and sustainable approach to consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And like we talked about, digital technologies can play a key role in empowering consumers
Right.
to make more informed choices,
Okay.
participate in that circular economy.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
From the intricacies of that SMIF framework
Mm-hmm.
to the transformative potential of digitalization
Yeah.
and the really crucial role of consumers in driving change.
Uh-huh.
I don't know about you, but my brain is buzzing with ideas.
Mine too. This chapter has really opened my eyes to the possibilities of a circular economy and the exciting role that digital technologies can play in shaping a more sustainable future.
I couldn't agree more. And on that note, I want to thank all of our listeners for joining us on this deep dive
Yes. Thank you.
into Chapter 17 of Henrik H. V. Jensen's book, Circular Economy Opportunities and Pathways for Manufacturers. We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we did.
I hope so.
And remember, that journey toward a circular economy is really just beginning.
It is.
We all have a role to play, whether we're manufacturers, consumers, policymakers,
That's right.
or just curious individuals, eager to learn and explore new possibilities.
For sure.
So let's all keep diving deep, stay curious, and work together to create a more sustainable and prosperous future for everyone.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
I hope today's discussion provided a clear final reflection on why digital capabilities are the key enabler of circularity. If you take away 3 key insights from this journey with SMIF, you should have noted down that circularity, digitization, and sustainability are not separate strategies, they must work together. The most competitive manufacturers of the future will be circular, digital, and clean by 2030. Circular economy success requires shifting from products to intelligent data-driven systems. IoT, AI, and automation transform how we design, use, and recover materials. And the last thing you should have noted down is that digital tools make circularity scalable and profitable. The Sustainable Manufacturing Intelligence Framework provides a roadmap for manufacturers to connect products, customers, and supply chains seamlessly and intelligently. To fully explore how SMIF can guide your transition to a digital and circular business model, I encourage you to get my book, where I provide detailed frameworks and case studies to help manufacturers take action. And because circularity and digital transformation are constantly evolving, I continue to add fresh insights and updates at circularpathwaysbook.com. Until next time, keep innovating, keep digitizing, and keep leading the way toward a circular, digital, and clean future.